Recording here. All right. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provision of the open meeting law and the governor's March 23rd, 2020 order imposing strict limitations of the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Yarmouth Community and Economic Development Committee meeting is being conducted via remote participation. All votes during this meeting will need to be conducted by roll call. No in-person attendance will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access and participate in the proceedings as provided for in the order. Public participation will be permitted by allowing members of the public to join this meeting via Zoom or via the telephone. Mr. Vice Chairman, if you just want to take a roll call vote to enter into meeting quorum, we can begin.
Sure. Okay, let's, can I get a roll call? Joanne?
Present.
Thank you. Mary?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Ken is here. So the four of us are here. We have a quorum. Kyle, if you want to bring the agenda up on the screen just so we can keep that.
Yes.
Can I make a note that Jack is here?
Oh, Jack is here now. I can't see the whole list of people, so thank you.
I see my picture. I don't know if anybody else.
No, I know why. I can't see everybody for whatever reason on the screen. Let me do this. Oh, that's better. There we go. And Jack,
I'm
you're
here.
here. All right, good. So Kyle, if you could bring the agenda up.
Yep. Just taking forever for my computer to load.
And I see that we do have some visitors too to the meeting. If they want to announce themselves, certainly encourage it. All right, jump right in. We were just discussing just prior to the start of the meeting here that joking around that Peter made the big time, and the reorganization of committee officers is our first item on the agenda. One of the first things we need to do is vote a new chair, and certainly would like to open that up for discussion. Any thoughts from anybody?
I'll jump in. Ken, you've been around a while on this committee, so given that in your background, I would support you as chair if you're so interested.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I did have a discussion with Kyle. I wasn't going to discuss this till the next meeting, but we might as well just discuss it now for a second. My thought, we can take this up further after this meeting, the next meeting, but so it's an agenda item. But certainly would like to, Peter did a tremendous job, and I think from this committee, I'll just jump in and say that we should send a letter of congratulations from the committee to Peter and thank him for the service to the committee that he had done for all the years. I honestly, and Kyle, maybe you do, or Mary, so I have no idea how many years Peter was the chair and on this committee, but I know it was for quite some time and did an amazing job. So certainly would recommend that. But my thought, in all seriousness, was that we put some sort of term length to the chair, and that way people have an opportunity to step in. My thought was 2 years, and I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that. So
I think that's a great suggestion, Ken, to have terms.
Yeah, I agree. Great idea.
Yeah. I mean, certainly it doesn't mean that you term out and you have to go off the committee. It just means that it's a term limit to be the chair. It's my suggestion. And like I said, we can put that as an agenda item at the next meeting. But that being said, Steve, I appreciate your support. And if you'd like to make that as a motion, I'm so inclined. So
Second the motion.
let Steve make the motion first, yeah.
I thought he already advanced the motion.
No, it wasn't made as a motion. It was made as a comment. So
the motion is to make Ken Smith the chairman of the CEDC committee.
Second the motion.
All right, can I have a vote on that, please? We'll start with Steve since you made the motion.
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Joanne?
Aye.
And I'll abstain. And thank you so much for your support. The second order of business is we need a vice chair.
So I'd like to make a motion for Steve O'Neill to be the vice chair.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody but me.
You don't want to take on any more, Jack?
I gotta,
I think that's a very good motion and certainly supported 100%.
Thank you. Thank you,
So,
Mary.
okay, we need to take that to a vote. Mary,
Aye.
Jack,
aye.
Joanne,
Aye.
Ken, yes, Steve.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Kyle, you got the new.
Congrats, guys.
regime. There you go. That made it easy.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you
All right.
both.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Request for funding for drive-in snow fencing, second order of business. We had
Yes.
discussion about this at the last meeting.
Yeah, so just to give you some background, did a little digging to give you some more information. So this is the area that it needs to be installed on so that nothing blows into the river, Parker's River, for any event that takes place this summer. I measured it out on 11 by 17 paper, so it measures out to roughly 900 feet of fencing. I looked into how much the post should be in between, how much space you should leave in between the posts. It's recommended 5 feet apart for high wind areas, which this would be because it's right on the river. So, you just do it out. It's going to be 180 posts. So the cost comes out to be about 1,500. I might want to amend that slightly to like $2,000 because if there's any extra funds, we'll just obviously return it. But I don't know if I'm ever going to need any extra posts. And I was also looking for suggestions on the installation. I mean, worst case scenario, I will go out there and do it. I mean, it'll take me a day or two to do it, but it's really just banging in posts into the ground, zip tying a plastic to it. It's not difficult. I've done it in the past. But if there's any suggestions for any sort of local volunteer organizations, I haven't been able to reach out to the Boy Scouts yet, but they were going to be my first solicitation. If you guys have any suggestions on people who might be willing to volunteer installation, it's not a small job. It's going to take a bit of time, but it's also not difficult. So if anybody actually enjoys working outside, they might actually like doing it. But
yeah, have you talked to Summer Corp about that at all? Because they certainly, I think this is kind of a project to be right up there.
AmeriCorps?
Yeah, AmeriCorps. And
that's a good suggestion. I don't know what kind of lead time they need on a project, but that is a good suggestion.
Yeah, I don't know that either, but I know that I've seen them do similar projects, to this.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's needed to be able to use that area for this summer, correct, Kyle?
It is. I should give you background. The deadline we just put out the drive-in site solicitation for events for the drive-in site for this summer. The first consideration deadline was the 27th at 4 p.m. It was just 10 minutes ago. And I think we got 2 proposals and neither of them were complete. So hopefully they will be completed and we'll get 2 full proposals. But I guess I want you guys to be aware that, yes, this is needed for events to take place this summer, but this is also, it's not as if we're going to have an event every weekend, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it. So just kind of wanted to give you that as some background.
And is there permitting applications that need to be done to put up the snow fencing?
No, it's a temporary snow fence. So
okay.
We did it. It was installed last year too. So
it was okay. And who installed it last year? You?
I think last year it was. It might have been the.
Adam did it.
Yeah, did Adam do it?
Adam did it last year himself.
Entertainment. Yeah, but we didn't want to make every single event have to do it. So we figured we'll just have the town take care of it for the whole season.
And just clarify, Kyle, if you hired a fence company to do it, you'd have to put it up prevailing wage and get 3 bids?
Correct. I did reach out to Reliable Fence Company of Cape Cod, which was the company in Yarmouth who was very responsive in the past that did our fence at Yarmouth Port. They said they're booked till November.
Right. Most of the fence companies are.
Fence companies are, and a lot of other fence companies just won't touch it because of the whole prevailing wage thing. But yeah, you would need to. That's why, if I did it, it would save us money because, I don't need to be paid prevailing wages. So, I did ask for the DPW too. They're all booked up, because it goes to the problem of having no seasonal workers,
Right.
Everyone's tied up with other things.
Yep.
So Kyle, per our conversation yesterday too, I think you may be able to reach out. So I'm a Rotarian.
Yeah.
And this would be something that I think Helping Hands would help with.
Okay.
It's a subcommittee in the Yarmouth Rotary, and they volunteer on community projects.
Yep.
So, if you're interested, I can certainly put you in touch with the chair of the committee.
Yes, I think AmeriCorps will be my first stop, but that might be my second stop.
Kyle, just one other possible suggestion.
Yep.
I know that the Barnstable County
Sure.
Jail
Yeah.
sometimes has litter picker-uppers and things
Yep.
like that.
Unfortunately, with COVID, I don't think they're allowing that to happen yet.
Oh.
I will look into that to see if,
Yeah.
maybe with the new.
Yeah, maybe with the new restrictions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Joanne's right. This would be right up their alley too. They do a lot of this stuff when, COVID wasn't around prior to
Yeah.
COVID. So yeah.
Well, those are three really good suggestions. I think
Yeah.
between those three, it should be able to come up with a solution. And again, worst case, I'll go out there and do it because I need some sun anyways. So.
Do we need a motion for the?
Yeah, we do need a motion to purchase it. I guess the one thing that I'd like to make sure is included in the motion is that, which we discussed at last meeting, was that this is a one-time purchase and that they don't just keep coming back year after year, just taking $2,000 from our coffers to put up snow fencing. So,
but also, it should hopefully be a one-time purchase, Ken, because hopefully we'll be able to find a way to store this stuff to use.
So that's that's part of my point too.
Okay.
Any further discussion about it?
Ken, just one other question for Kyle.
Sure.
Kyle, do you have a chance to run this by any of the fence people that you spoke with the other day, just to see if your numbers are in the ballpark?
Yeah. I actually ran it by Jeff Colby first. He said the numbers in the ballpark.
Perfect.
The Reliable Fence was actually willing to sell us a certain type of snow fencing, but it was going to be the wooden ones that are kind of connected with
accordion,
the wire.
right.
And those are more difficult to install. So if I'm going to be doing the installation, then I'm not dealing with that. Or if a volunteer organization is going to do it, then
the plastic fencing, the plastic snow fence is the way to go, Kyle. And you can zip tie it in place and take it right down, easily.
Well,
so.
I can just say as an abutter, I would rather the other fence than the orange because it's not aesthetically pleasing.
You can get the plastic in different colors, Mary. You can get it in black,
maybe
green.
Kyle can look into that.
You want the green one instead of orange?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get green. I think green was the one that was in.
Yeah, they make green, they make black, they make all different colors.
This was kind of what I had in mind.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Kyle, do you want to go with the $2,000 number?
Yeah, if you're willing to do that, I think it would just give us a little breathing room in case, my math was not totally up to snuff.
And Kyle, do you know how much money is left over in the drive-in site? We had set aside some money there. Do you have any idea on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it was about $2,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was like $2,200 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that. So
it was. You guys had kind of left it in there in case we needed to do additional stuff with the sounds.
Right.
And we are working with the sound consultant on that end. But yes, I could give you I'm sorry. I don't
Yeah, you don't need to dig it out right now. I just wanted to pick your brain for it.
Yeah.
So,
but you could either transfer the funds from that account or just straight from physical improvements, which probably would be what I would recommend.
What's that again, Kyle? I'm sorry.
I would probably recommend just taking it from physical improvements in case you do need the extra money for the sound.
Okay. So can I get a motion?
Yep. Make a motion that we take up to $2,000
Second the motion.
for one-time purchase
One-time purchase.
of fencing around the perimeter of the driving site.
Thank you, Steve. Jack, you second it?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, can I get a vote?
Just one thing, Ken.
Yep, sure,
Kyle,
Steve.
does the selectman know we're doing this?
Well, they certainly know about the, the solicitation for the events. They don't specifically know that we're putting up a fence for it, but it is called out, I think, in the solicitation that a fence is going to be installed.
Okay,
So.
okay, as long as it's called out there, they know about that. Okay.
Can we make the condition this fence wouldn't be purchased until we're absolutely sure we're having an event there?
Sure.
Because for some reason they may not get approved.
Right. That makes sense.
I'll amend the motion to include that.
Second.
So, but I guess my question would be, we're gonna need to put up the fence. We're hoping to have events set up for public hearings at the end of June, right?
Right.
Maybe the first event's in July. So they won't be officially approved until the end of June when they get through their licensing hearings. But we would definitely need to have the fence up before then. We can't just scramble a day before potential events take place. You know what I mean?
Is that what, I know you can't tell us about the proposals, but are the two that close to the July 1 date?
Right after the 4th of July, I thought, Kyle, right?
Yeah, I don't think so actually, but we should have clarity on whether or not events go forward at the June 8th Board of Selectmen meeting, because initial proposals will be done then. So I suppose if you guys are okay with kind of that being the blessing of events going forward, we could definitely get up a fence in between June 8th and July 1st kind of thing.
Okay. That's fine. So Steve, you want to repeat your amendment just so it's clear? I mean,
okay, so
I second the amendment.
So motion to approve up to $2,000 for the installation of fence around the perimeter of the drive-in site committee with Mary's amendment included.
Okay, thank you. And Jack seconded. Can I get a vote, please? I'll start with Joanne.
Yes.
Mary?
Aye.
Jack?
Yes.
Steve?
Aye.
Ken, yes. There you go, Kyle.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. And let's hope, Kyle, you don't have to do that yourself. I mean, it's
yeah. Keep us posted on that, Kyle.
Yeah. Do keep us posted, because it comes down to that. I'll come out and help you too.
Yeah, I got Mike Berry that used to work in our office was going to be willing to help me too. So I do appreciate that though.
Yeah. Number 3, Great Island Plaza.
Yeah, so Great Island Plaza, this is the, I don't think Mr. Ciavara can make it today, but I did get some background from him today. This is the particular program that they're applying for. It's called the Underutilized Properties Program through Mass Development. So the program information was included in your packet. He did share with me some of the plans that they're submitting as a part of it, which is this right here. I didn't get a full application because he's still working on it, and he's still working with the owner to fill out the kind of important information on it. One of the things I told him to mention in the application was that he's close to the opportunity zone. They're not in the opportunity zone, but there was a lot of mention in the application about the importance of opportunity zones, and they're right next to it, unfortunately. So there's a little apartment involved, so it is got some mixed use, which I think would be looked upon favorably by the state. So we'll see. I think the draft letter. And he also included some information in exactly what's involved in the packet as well in the email. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read that.
Yep.
But actually, what's really required from the town for this application is a letter of support from, it says, the municipal CEO. So that would be the town administrator. But obviously, any additional letter of support aren't going to hurt. So it's kind of up to you guys how specific or unspecific, or even if you're willing to write a letter of support. I had drafted this one. This was actually, the language was taken previously. You guys wrote a letter of support for the Great Island Plaza for their ZBA hearing back in the day.
Yep. Right.
So it was very similar to this language, saying like, we don't know the exact proposals, but basically anything that goes in there is going to improve the area. So it's kind of up to you guys if you want to get more specific, less specific, if you're comfortable with this, if you're not. If you haven't, if you want any more questions to be answered or what have you, but that's kind of where we're at.
I'd certainly like to open up for discussion to the committee. you know, and I'll wait to hold off on my opinion. So anybody have any comments?
You know, I think from what I know of what I've read here, it looks good to me. Couple of questions that I have. This is an application on behalf of the owner of this, the contractor. Okay,
Correct.
so he's submitting
Yes.
the application. So there's no resources at this point in time from the town.
No, the town is just writing, you know, letters of support, basically.
Okay, but the town is also, probably this question is more directed to Joanne. The town's also approved any variances, anything else required by ZBA or planning board to get this project done. Is that correct?
They appeared before the ZBA at least once. Kathy Williams, I think, is on with us. And if I may, Kathy, could you walk us through what you know about it?
Sure. Yeah. The planning board's part was in the special town meeting in 2019. They put forth the zoning change that would make all of the parcels that Haya owns to be B2. But then they did go and get a special permit from the ZBA. So they have that permit to redevelop all of the front there and a whole bunch of parking in the back. They did end up having to, because of funding situation, phase it. So they were going to phase some of the work. But I think all the stuff that they're talking about with regard to redevelopment of the buildings, or basically recreating those buildings and bringing them back up to snuff, would be part of the application that Robert's putting together. There is one section of the building that's so deteriorated that it needs to be taken down and completely reconstructed. And that's new building, and that's not part of the underutilized grant program. But they have all of their permits. They could put in a building permit and get started if they had the funding for it. She was having difficulty getting the financing for it. A lot of it was to do with inability to get letters of interest for financing banks and stuff. So I think she's trying to look at it this way. I think if she doesn't move forward with this redevelopment, she also has the property on the market to anybody. Mm-hmm. So, you know, who knows what would go in there. Anything that would be allowed in the B2 zoning district is something that could go in there.
Absolutely. So,
okay.
You know,
this lady,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
This lady appeared before our committee several months ago, as I recall now. Okay. Is this lady in arrears or anything in terms of taxes that are owed to the town? Do we know, or?
Not that I know of. Okay. That would be great if we could get the property, because we want to always realign those misaligned the intersections there at Winslow Gray and South Sea. But to my knowledge, she's fine. I haven't heard anything with regard to that.
Okay.
I'd just like you to know the Chamber of Commerce is submitting a letter of support for the application as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, my phone rang right there and cut the video out. But my quick comment to it, you know, we were in support, you know, 6 months ago, a year ago, whenever it was that they came in front of us then, at least from my standpoint, you know, anything that gets done there from, you know, our charges for economic improvement to the town of Yarmouth would certainly help in that section of town. I certainly feel very strongly that I'm in support of this project moving forward, and would feel very comfortable putting a letter. I don't think we should get specifics. I think we should just put together a letter of support that we are in favor of this project moving forward. I don't know if anybody else has any comments on that.
I'll just make one comment on behalf of the planning board. We too have been requested through Robert Ciavara to submit a letter of support. We could not consider it at our most recent meeting because he did not have enough information for us. We didn't quite know the exact program under mass development that he had submitted or is thinking of submitting an application. The application itself is they call it one stop, where you fill out a common application for multiple kinds of grants. And it is an extensive application, and we're hoping he can move through that and get all the information he needs. So we intend at our planning board meeting, our next one, it will be in time for us to propose a letter of support for this as well. So that is our plan as well, because there are certain, I think, real estate developments on that corner that we would not be happy to see. So I'll just leave it at that.
Sure.
So if there can be some improvement there, we would fully support it.
Absolutely. Kyle, can you bring the up? I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah, bring that letter up, Carl. Like I was
Yep.
going to say, I just want to add a couple of points.
Sure.
Steve, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Joanne, if we could, if I'm wrong on this, just jump in. But if we could add something, Kyle, relative, I'm going to take it a little step further, Ken. I think we need to add maybe a paragraph or two more. Having been on the other side reading some of these things, I always felt the more information that I could get from a letter that showed its readiness to go and how supportive it was in the entire community, it rose to the top in terms of review. So, but I would say in that regard, if we can add something, you know, we're in the process of completing a master plan here. This is entirely consistent with that. If we did get any, or the applicant did get any approvals from the ZBA, indicate that. And certainly we should put, because this is the Economic Development and Community Development Committee, maybe something to the effect that this is entirely consistent with what we're all about here in terms of expanding the economic base of the town. Just add those probably in one or two paragraphs.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Good point.
They're all good points.
I would agree with that, Mr. Chairman. I think that anything there is an improvement. Certainly what they proposed so far looks very attractive.
Absolutely. Can I get a motion then to Steve?
If I may, Ken, excuse me.
Sure, Joanne. Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah, sure.
Kyle, the drawings that you just showed us, were those the drawings that were prepared for the ZBA? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It looks, if you go down, I could probably tell you.
Where, to the bottom?
If you just keep going down, I'll tell you if it, yeah.
They eventually dated somewhere?
I'm assuming there's some site plans, I guess is what I'm looking for. Because these are just the architectural.
That might be the other attachment that took too long to
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Sorry. I'll try. Hold on.
Okay. So that all being said, it sounds like we're all in favor. So of a support letter. So Steve, you had some comments and some changes you'd like to make. Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve the letter with the suggested changes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second the motion. I'm sorry. Do we want to take a look at what Kyle's going to present? Do we want to wait for that, or just? I think we can leave it to his discretion.
Yeah, I think we can leave it to Kyle's discretion.
I will work with Ken on finalizing the final language on the.
Okay.
If you need any input from me, just let me know.
Yeah. That's good.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Great. All right. Can I get a vote then in support of a letter supporting this project? Joanne.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
And Ken is a yes. Great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good job.
Next item.
Next item is the Yarmouth Port Common drainage discussion.
Let
me pull that up. So we do have the whole report in your packet.
Yeah.
Which you guys have read, hopefully at some point.
Yeah, that's quite the engineering report.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're an engineering nerd, you must love it because there's a lot of good stuff in it.
If you like reading about boreholes, it's great.
Yeah. There's also the comment from the conservation administrator regarding alternative number 3 and her thoughts on that.
Yep.
And then there was also a memo from our very own Mr. Steve O'Neill summarizing his thoughts. And then we also had his thoughts on the conservation comments, and then Joanne's thoughts, as well as she was nice enough to attach, probably should have looked at this before, the 6A streetscapes improvement, which probably should be considered.
Yeah, that was a nice catch, Joanne. Real nice catch.
Absolutely.
So give you guys the
let's-
floor. If you want me to pull up
Yeah.
anything in particular, I'll be happy to do so.
Steve, you've kind of taken this as a
Yeah.
as
So
your baby. So why don't you
yeah,
lead the
yeah.
lead the pack?
Thanks for bearing with me on this whole thing. But if you could pull up that streetscape stuff again.
Yeah. 1 second.
The reason I don't know where we are with that streetscape, and there's a ways to go before this thing ever gets done, but some of the elements that VHB was talking about in these different scenarios, maybe go down a little bit, Kyle, scroll down a little bit. Yeah, let's keep it right there. That's probably the best one here.
Yeah.
They were talking about curbing, whatnot, what you have there. The approach I see on this thing is rather than doing alternative one, which would be doing some cutting and filling on the site onto the left there behind the fences or in between the fences, I just think that's going to be an unsightly process to go through it, and ultimately will be some real negative fallout, I think, from the abutters around the property. I don't think it's going to look good at all. The drainage, the French drain, I'm opposed to doing anything that's going to involve us getting into some real serious and deep wetland discussions. Not that I'm opposed to wetlands, anything like that. It's just that I think we can take care of this problem by doing some work on this Route 6A and maybe on Strawberry Lane that you see here, but also down below and to the left there. There's a catch basin down the street where that car is on the left coming toward us. There's also a catch basin downstream whereby I think if we do some initial Cape Cod berm around the property in this area, the northwest corner, and redirect some of the flow down to those catch basins, I think it might solve the problem. Now, that's easy for me to say. I'm not the engineer. There has to be some more analysis done on this thing. But I think I was being told, what I read in a 100-year storm, how much flooding occurs at the site. I think it might be able to accommodate with those two catch basins. In fact, scenarios 4 and 5, alternatives 4 and 5 do just that. They suggest just that. But the whole thing is, because we're on 6A, we got to involve the state on this thing. My thought was, let's go simultaneously in two directions. Let's get the state on board, show them this study, get it in to their to the appropriate office and let them comment on it and give us some feedback on it, give the feedback to Jeff Colby, and then he can proceed accordingly. If we got to amend this contract and take it to the next step, which I'm assuming going to be more study has to be done on hydraulic flow in this area, and can the catch basins accommodate that flow? But at least it gets us started, and then maybe Jeff can offer some alternatives with the Cape Cod berm back to the state as an alternative measure. So we got a couple of approaches going there. So that's what I like to see, and just bounce that off of Jeff. And if our group is okay with that, get him into another meeting, and then whatever it's going to take in terms of cost to amend the application after we talk to the state, after he talks to the state, take the appropriate action there. But I would like to see something happen here with a final analysis on what we're going to do to the site by a year from now. So you look at this is the heart of the town, right? I mean, if we can't take care of this, then what are we all here for? So I guess what I'm saying, this really should be a premier location in the community.
Yep.
And I think if we do this work appropriately, it'll be used for even more than what it's being used for now. So
thank you, Steve.
Yep.
That's great comments. Really great comments. Anybody else have anything else to talk about it?
I just have a quick question, and Kathy, thank you for joining us. I hope you can. I hope I appropriately pulled out the right slides from that old presentation. I think I did. But the whole notion of the alternatives, if you go to the next slide here, Kyle, I mean, there was granite curbing, there was the Cape Cod berm. So there were all sorts of alternatives. But I'm wondering, as to working with DOT, Kathy, does something like this, a small, what I consider small, curbing effort on 6A, does it have to wind its way into the tip, into the transportation improvement program, or is it too small? And
Yes.
I'm asking that because I was just on 6A yesterday,
And they
and
started
there's
something.
a little project of putting in granite curbs.
Right.
Like, where are they doing that? How are they doing that? How come we can't do that here?
They're
I don't know if
doing,
anyone else has seen that, but
I
they're
did.
putting them in right now for
I
one
did
little
that.
segment of Route 6A.
it's for a resident was looking for a crosswalk at the near Willow
Right.
Street. And they ended up putting it, it's further down, it's in front of 100 Route 6A, but that's going to be a crosswalk. So they have a little extended area of the sidewalk on either side that they're doing. There's more curbing on, I think, the south side, but that's for a crosswalk. And
Well, that's the same thing we're trying to gain here, though,
Yep,
Kathy.
Yep.
You know, an appropriate crosswalk.
Yep. So what I'm saying is they've done smaller projects like that, or small little drainage area projects like that. I think they do it through their maintenance fund. So I do think that that's the possibility of doing something along those lines. I think, just to get back to the corridor study, just very briefly, there was really no consensus on improvements to the corridor. I think nobody was really interested in having a sidewalk on the south side next to the green. And I think people really wanted to keep it very minimal to maintain that rural feel to it. So what we're working on now is, through the water main project, what type of general improvements could we do that might improve safety that get incorporated into that water main project? Because when they put the water main down, they're going to have to put things back into place. So I think having the crosswalks like this, and making sure that you have a connection, a handicap accessible connection between the crosswalk and the sidewalks, I'm hoping that's something that can be done during the water main project. But that doesn't mean that you can't do things earlier as part of a maintenance project. So there is the possibility of that, and Jeff would be the right person to kind of coordinate with that. He knows the people at Mass DOT better. I'm not clear when I do admit that I am an engineering nerd, and I did read the report, but it was a little while ago. But if we're increasing drainage that's now going to be going to the Mass DOT drainage system that wasn't going there before, they may have some issues with that. I was a little unclear. I'm assuming it was additional flow that was going to be going there versus keeping flow from Route 6A off our streets. That would be their responsibility, and they might be able to do something with that. But if we're adding more flow, that might be a little bit more complicated. I don't know if Jeff had commented on the report or not.
Just briefly.
But if I may, Kathy, it was the work that's being done on the crosswalk further west. It's a private property owner that.
Various times residents will contact Mass DOT and say, we need a sidewalk here, we need a handicap accessible ramp here. And there's like, I think it's at the Red Jacket by the fire station, you'll notice that they put in a small little segment of sidewalk with those truncated domes. And that came, I think, from a resident's request. There's also was a small little drainage project that they did along Route 6A, in order to address a comment from some water that was going down into someone's driveway. So it was in response to a resident request. It doesn't mean that the town couldn't request things too. I mean, that's certainly possible.
That's kind of where I'm going. We are the property owner here, and perhaps we make the phone call, since you're absolutely, in my recollection, the same, having attended those hearings. There was no consensus on the Route 6A project. Some people loved the curb cuts and the granite curbs, others hated them. People liked the stone walls, others hated them. We don't want berms. We want it to stay rural and look like a road that had horse and carriages on it, quite frankly, in some cases. But if we are the property owner here and we have a crosswalk, is there some way where we decide that what we want is a granite curb, or what we want is a berm, a Cape Cod berm? I mean, is that even a possibility for us to think about? And tapping those maintenance funds?
Well, it's a state highway, so it's technically their property. But you can request that through their maintenance, or you could, if the town wanted to pay for it, also do it through a highway access permit, where we would show them the plans of what we wanted to do. Obviously, the first one's better because it's on their dime. But here, I think it would be a case of, I don't think it's particularly complicated to ask for that crosswalk. And one of the things was that piano style crosswalk. And I think at some point we had taken out the posts in the rail to get people to be able to go down. And there's been some discussion, I think, of maybe having some stairs, some actual formal stairs going down there, which might be nice. But obviously Mass DOT wouldn't pay for the stairs, but they might be able to get the two on either side and the crosswalk.
Mm-hmm.
But I think your real issue is drainage and keeping the drainage from the two town roads from going into the common, right?
Right. That's the key. That's why I was suggesting that, you know, if we're talking with the state, if Jeff is talking with the state about, or you are with this VHB work here, why can't we include it all as one project? And I do know that they, at the end of a year, because I'm familiar with the TIP process, having sat on a lot of those meetings, they always can't get to some projects, but some projects may vault ahead of others because they've got all the work done, and they include other parts that make for a more comprehensive project. They're willing to grab onto those things and say, yeah, we used up the money for this year. They hate turning back the money. So
Use it or lose it.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I guess my intent would be, based upon what I'm seeing here from VHB and Kathy, your input, and Joanne, is we can maybe have another meeting with Jeff, and it doesn't probably have to be this group, but we can have a side meeting with him and come back to the group and say, this is what we found out, just to get him on board with, does this make sense to incorporate all of this together and then go to the state with, to get some direction from them. And
Kyle,
then
is
come
that
back.
something? Kyle, is that something you can set up
With
with
Jeff.
Yeah, doesn't have to, as Steve said, doesn't have to be, you know, a full-blown meeting here. Just because we just need to get some clarification from Jeff, can be a sidebar conference call.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it might make sense to have Steve like meet with Jeff to talk through
Yeah.
stuff too.
Sure, that's fine. Jeff, and then
Yeah.
Steve report back to the committee.
And Joanne and Kathy, Kathy, do you think this is a good approach? I mean, I'd like to have everybody on board.
I thought some of the proposed options were extensive and quite a bit. The question I had was how significant, I mean, I've certainly been on the common before when my sneakers got wet. So I understand that it's a problem, but how frequent is the flooding problem? Has it been impacting events? Is it just a certain time of year, or is it all the time?
So I can tell you from doing the Christmas stroll, out of the 5 years I've done it, at least 3. It's like underwater in that front corner there.
Okay.
Like literally, could be up to your ankles.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as the ground freezes, Mary, you know, that corner fills up with water every time. So
Yeah, and even if we're doing the tree lighting, and we've had heavy rains like the week before, I mean, your feet are sinking into the grass by the trees.
But in December, what time is that, Mary?
So we have that the first week in December.
Okay, the December was also when I happened to be there and got my sneakers wet. So, I guess I was curious as to, is that something that could be more of a drainage storage issue because it's a frozen ground situation, or whether it is something where too much flow is going there?
Yeah,
it's really too much flow that's going there. I don't think you can do on-site storage because of the composition of the soils.
right.
There is sand, but there's also some other how shall I say, and it's not the technical word for it, but it doesn't readily allow for easy flow from a storage system. So then you're looking at, okay, does it make sense to pipe it back into the state-owned road at some point, which is, I think, what they're coming out with their final analysis. So, yeah, and I think it's obviously the events happen in the fall, in the transition of seasons, but you know, you can get a storm event, a heavy storm event in the summertime as well. And you know, I've seen people doing yoga exercises on there. Well, that's going to prevent people from using that. So I think it's, you know, it's pretty much dictated by the seasonal weather and the events that you have on there, whether or not you can use that site. But having said that, you can be assured you can use it for whatever time period you want to use it during the year if you take these measures.
Yep. So I guess to circle back on it, Steve, Kyle's gonna set up a meeting with you and Jeff, and then you'll report back.
Yep.
Whenever
if anyone else wants to sit in on that, Joanne, if you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll join you, Steve.
Okay.
That'd be great, Joanne. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Any further discussion on this topic? Hearing none, let's move on.
I'm going to sign off. Thank you so
Kathy,
much.
thank
Thank you.
you. Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Next item, I believe, is committee member updates.
Joanne.
Planning board presented on Tuesday this week a presentation on where we are with visioning and our early development of a vision statement with associated goals. Kyle, if it's possible, can you send to them, the members of the committee, Kathy's, my package that was part of the packet?
Oh, shoot. I was supposed to send that out as a part of this meeting, wasn't I?
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, sorry about
That's
that.
okay. That's okay. And you can see where we are on that. And again, we would welcome any comments. The survey will be available starting June 1st, I think, Kyle. Did we agree on June 1st?
Yes, June 1st.
And so we'll be e-blasting to a bunch of folks on this final survey. And again, the intent of this survey is we were listening to you the first time. We think we captured everything that was important, but we want to make sure, tell us how important these things are to you. And then we will finalize and have a good sense of some community priorities. Right. The board asked some interesting questions. We expected most of them. We had only about 500 respondents. I think it was Selectman Stone said, gee, that's not very many. And we said, yeah, we would hope, we were hoping for more. We're hoping for more this go round. Kathy so beautifully jumped in and reminded the board that we had 170 members of the community attend the annual town meeting, that we had 1,200 people vote. So she put it in great perspective that 500 people answering a survey wasn't so bad after all. But we do want more. We do want more. So that's the main update. That's the main update for me. But I would like to say one thing about the Board of Selectmen meeting. Mary, I'm so glad that you were there to respond to my words, fake news at the town meeting. I happened to be sitting.
I was watching you.
Yeah, I was sitting right in front of Mr. Sullivan, and many of his points were well taken. But the whole rumor mill that there's all this money that comes from the tourism fund, it was. I'm so glad you clarified that for the Board of Selectmen.
And just so you know, I did submit a written letter to the Select Board as well that they received. I think the thing that surprised me is that Karen Green had commented that a small amount was used for Route 6. And I want this committee to know that that is not the case. Karen has never allowed us. So I don't know if at one point she was confused. They were talking about Route 28. Mm-hmm. But I do want this committee to know that there is not $1 of our contract that is used for Route 6. It is in the town of Barnstable. It is a totally separate site and contract from the town of Yarmouth. So for your sake, I want to make sure that you're very clear on that.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks for that clarification. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Jack, what's going on? What's going on in your world?
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Joanne and her committee. They did a great job at the Selectmen's meeting. I watched the whole thing the other day.
Oh, thank you, Jack.
And the commission is having a Cape Cod Commission update from the executive director at the next Selectmen's meeting, which is not this coming Tuesday, but the 8th. And Christy Senatori will be in attendance at the meeting to explain where the commission is and what's going on. The only thing I have on the plate really is the communications tower that's going on the campus of Our Lady of the Highway on Route 28. And that hearing starts the following day on the 9th. And I'm not sure if this committee wants to make any comment about that one way or the other, but if so, I'll have to recuse myself because I'm going to have to chair that the hearings on that, and it would be considered an ex parte presentation if I listen to anything outside of the whole committee. But,
yeah, I mean, my quick comment on that, Jack, is right now we don't know enough about it from this committee standpoint to make a comment. Would be my suggestion right now. At some point, if we have more information, then we can talk about it. But right now, I just don't think we have enough information. So,
right, no, a lot more information, of course, will come out of the hearings.
Right,
and their application is public knowledge and can be accessed at the Cape Cod Commission website. It should be interesting because there's a lot of interest in it. I mean, it's not unusual.
I think there's going to be a lot more interest, not just there, but in other sites around Cape Cod for that type of equipment. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's another indication of the fact that we should be talking more about the broadband proposal and so forth. But that's about all that's going on. There are 2 other DRIs in Yarmouth. I think I mentioned them. Both are historic sites on River Street that haven't come up yet, but will come up. And the other thing that aroused some interest by the Board of Selectmen was the extension of the runway at the, and I gave Christie an update saying that you can be sure you'll hear about that at that update you give them on the 8th.
Joanne, you had a comment?
If I can ask a question, the DRIs on River Street?
I beg your pardon?
You mentioned 2 DRIs associated with River Street?
Yeah.
Well, there's one there, right?
There are 2.
There are 2?
Yeah. And their additions are improvements to historic structures. Somebody owns a house that's in the historic district and wants to make some changes. I'm not exactly sure what they are yet. They haven't made formal application, but the town has referred them to the Cape Cod Commission for DRI consideration.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Steve, do you have anything that you want to bring up?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Ken.
Mary?
Yeah, I would just like to clarify something from your last meeting that unfortunately I was not able to attend. And if I had known that the discussion for the beach and dump stickers was on the agenda, I certainly would have made an effort, but I was moving that weekend, so was feeling a little frazzled. But I do want to clarify that the Chamber of Commerce had contacted the town administrator for some financial support because we had to bring on additional staff to cover. Literally 3 of us would be working 7 hours a day with a line out the door. And we have already, a typical year, we'd sell about 600 beach and dump stickers. We had already done that in mid-April. And we literally had to bring on additional staff. So I had called Bob Lawton, at the time was the interim town administrator, and requested to at least compensate us for the additional expense we had incurred for bringing on the additional staff. We had clearly requested funding from the CARES Act. So I was shocked to hear that this committee had funds requested from the CEDC under our contract. I was under the impression, since we had already signed an agreement with the town, it was completely final before it came to this committee requesting CEDC money. So our board was under the impression that it was CARES Act money that was being used on this contract we had signed. So I'm just bringing that to your attention.
And I would like to comment, you know, from my knowledge of being on the chamber board and some of the stuff that goes on at the chamber. First off, I will say, and I know Tom's still with us listening, that Tom did a great job clarifying the reason for the chamber request.
Right.
And, we certainly, felt from the committee standpoint that from, the community standpoint, which is part of this, part of our name of this committee, it certainly was benefiting the town of Yarmouth. And that's why we felt in support of it, Mary. But we did support it for this, a one-time support, just so you know.
No, and I appreciate that, but I wanted you to know that it was the chamber was under the impression the request was going for CARE Act funds, not to the CEDC.
Yeah.
So I wanted that to be specifically clarified to this committee.
And appreciate that clarification.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
So, anything else for the committee, guys? Hearing none, what's the next item?
Can I have one more thing? And then this is kind of like a bug in the ear for this committee to think about in the next year. And Kathy and I did a couple of quick emails probably about a month and a half ago about this. The number of new residents that have moved here is unbelievable. And there's no true way to track it. I can tell you I think it was 2.5 hours yesterday, we had 3 gentlemen come in that were under 40 years old that have moved here with their families. And so one of the things the chamber's been thinking about how that will change the economy here on the Cape, to have more year-round younger families living here. And in fact, I sent one gentleman to Kyle yesterday who was opening a new business in town. And so, just kind of food for thought, like, how do we think about that will change our year-round economy? What things should we keep in mind, like broadband to me?
Yeah, broadband's going to be a big
right,
thing.
number one to think about. But what other factors should we, as an economic development committee, be thinking about?
Yeah, I think she's right on point. Broadband is going to be a big issue, I think, Mary, because a lot of people are going to be working from their homes down here. I think entertainment's going to be another one. That drive-in site's going to be another big hotspot, I think, and something that we should be looking at as well.
And the thing that Kathy and I went back and forth about is, how do you track it all? Right? Like, how are we tracking who these people are that have moved here? What is their demographic? And Ryan and I have talked about it too, because Ryan's very curious, and it's something they don't really track either.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's just, I'm a data person, so I would kind of love to see what we can find that would be trackable data for us.
Well, it sounds to me like 2 spots of action might be the clerk's office, right? The town clerk, and because of the voting rolls, right?
Right.
And the other one would be the assessor's office, right? So who the taxes formally being paid by, who they're going to be paid by going forward. So I think those are 2 points of data that we can look at.
Would we get age demographic?
You probably won't get the age from them, no.
But we would probably hear from school, like how much number of children that is.
Yeah.
I don't know, just really interesting for us as staff to sit here and to talk to these people. And it's amazing the number coming in here, male and female, 40 and under.
Yeah.
It's and we're so grateful. We're thrilled you're here.
Yeah. Kyle, this brings up a good point. The town clerk sends out a Yarmouth census survey every year.
Yeah.
Could we get access to that data, or at least have a discussion about that with the town clerk?
Yeah, I'll inquire about that.
Certainly it's a very valid point, Mary. We have no idea, and you're absolutely correct. We all know, my other hat being in real estate, it's still red hot. There's still people, you putting a house on the market, if it's correctly priced, it's gone in a day. I mean, and that's not an exaggeration. So it's, and the market right now isn't, I thought it was going to start cooling down. It's still just as hot as it was. And, people are saying, that have been doing it a lot longer than I have, that, you know, they're probably looking at through into 2022 that it's staying this hot. So
Well, not until people suffer through the winter here one time and realize that that's right.
yeah,
I just think we can be really proactive, and
Yep.
this committee, I think, should put this on their radar.
that's a great point, Mary. It really is a great point. Thank you. Good. Kyle, what do we got left?
Staff updates. So a few updates for you. Right on topic, broadband. We are still finally got a contract drafted to wire up some town buildings on the broadbands, which will hopefully kind of give us the ability to expand broadband in the future. I know the finance director was talking to me about, you know, talking to you guys at some point in the future about trying to expand it, broadband into business clusters and whatnot. The first step is to actually complete this town, you know, build out project that we've been working on for like 2 years. It was literally a grant that we got like 2 years ago that we were supposed to spend a while ago, but we've gotten a few extensions on. So we're finally at the point where contracts can be signed on that, and some additional town buildings are going to be wired. So that's good news on the broadband front. But so it's not moving quite as quickly as I would have liked, but once we get through that, then we can start focusing on the next steps, you know. Ken asked earlier about in-person meetings. So I think the word is, you know, town hall is opening on June 1st. So after June 1st, if you guys want to have in-person meetings, you can. Totally up to you guys. You know, you have a pretty small committee, so I could try to get us into the hearing room to have more space. So up to you.
Can I just ask the committee members what they think about that?
In person.
Jack?
Yeah, I have to be in favor of it in person. However, I thought that the selectmen took a position that they were going to wait until September 1st. Did I hear that mentioned? I know that the governor said that they can continue until September 1st.
Right.
That hasn't been approved yet, has it? According to our meeting this morning, it hasn't been approved by the governor yet.
Oh, okay.
For the extension.
Just one more thing while I got the floor. I'd like to do a shout out for Kyle, because every time I watch and online hearing, if it's the selectmen or the Board of Appeals or anybody, they're always thanking Kyle for his backup and his
because I'm paying them all to do that, Jack.
Technical work on
You're making him blush, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Joanne, what do you think about in-person meetings?
I'm good to go with that. That'd be great. That'd be great, Ken.
And
yeah, to Jack's concern, I think really the only issue is as long as town hall is open and the public can access your meetings, that's really the most important thing. So town hall will be open starting June 1st. So just wanted to speak to that.
And Mary, I just wanted to make sure I got everybody's thoughts on it.
No, I'm perfectly fine.
And I'm fine with it too. So Kyle, I stole your time, so you go.
Sounds good. All right, so in person next meeting then. And then the last staff update I had was looking to finally pick back up the project of the utility box wraps. So this is one of those projects that we talked about a long time ago, I believe. Yep. You guys did a long time ago. I think you were involved with the initial wrapping. I don't know if anybody was on the committee back then. So they were wrapped back in 2014. We have 8 wraps. 4 of them are actually still in pretty good shape. They're of historic photos of the town. We'd probably leave those alone. But there's 4 that definitely need to be updated that say 375th year anniversary in 2014, you know. So we're going to want to get those. And there's 2 additional boxes that we also want to get, which are at Packet Landings and at your location, Mary. There's one at the chamber, right? I just got to take measurements. My question to you guys, because ultimately it would, the funding request would be to you for the vinyl wrapping part. It probably wouldn't be much. I think I saw last time it was like $3,000 for 8 of them. So I think we're talking something under 5,000. But I kind of wanted to reach out to you in the beginning part of the process, because there's kind of 2 ways we could go about it. We could, a simpler, kind of quicker approach would probably be take nice photos of places in Yarmouth, to use those photos as the wrapping. You know, I've taken plenty of nice photos of Yarmouth. We have town. I don't have to get anybody's permission, you know, and, you know, I'm a pretty good photographer. So we have plenty of nice photos of Yarmouth. We could have one of like the, the boardwalk, one of, Windmill Beach, stuff like that. The other alternative would be to kind of partner with the cultural center, and they could put a call out for artists to do like to submit paintings or designs or photos. And then they could select the best ones and we could use those. My only concern with that is they're kind of a very international organization. So I'm sure we'd get a lot of non-Yarmouth centric type of submissions. So it's kind of like a question of, do you guys see those utility boxes being wrapped in like a more artsy manner, or in something that really is more calling out to the Yarmouth culture? You know what I mean? Do you see it as more of a public arts project, or let's accentuate the Yarmouth culture kind of thing?
Mary, you have a comment?
Yeah, so comment wise, as you know, the chamber has hundreds and hundreds of photos, and we had an intern last year, so anything you need, we would be more than happy to work with you, Kyle.
Yep.
Personally, the chamber has always thought the Yarmouth Scenic is much more appropriate. So that would be our opinion on that. But I'm also curious, so the Yarmouth Chamber has been trying to do this for at least 4 years, and we've always been told that we couldn't do it because there's not a public art policy and that there is no actual procedure for approval for photos. So what, for doing the wrapping the boxes. So what has changed?
Well, I don't know about that, because you guys initially wrapped them and there was a policy associated with that.
Way before my time. And I've been trying to do it.
Well, they were wrapped and there was a policy associated with them in 2014. So I don't know what would have changed from then until you getting your answer that you got. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just telling you, I have asked the CEDC, not this committee, but the CEDC office for 4 years, and I've always been told no. So I'm just curious what's changed.
Yeah, I mean, I met with Mark Grills on it to make sure that there was no zoning or any issues, and he didn't have any concerns, as long as it's within certain parameters, that it's not going to be any advertising or anything like that, which obviously it won't be.
So I was always told it had to do with the public art policy and procedures. So I'm thrilled that that'll happen. So go for it. I'm just curious.
Yeah, you're making me think that we might hit a roadblock in this at some point, but we did. I'll just pull up real quick what it's on.
I would just check with Karen, because Karen's the one that's always told us that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But like I said, I'm thrilled. Get it done.
Yeah. I would say use photos and get it done, Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, that would be my quick comment.
Don't worry about the hiccups along the way. Just do it.
All right.
Let us know how much you need.
Yeah, well, I'll be back at some point with a request on that end then.
Okay, good.
And do it at midnight if you have to. I'll help you. I'll be there.
Sounds good. Another quick update is that the YD Red Sox were initially thinking that they weren't going to be able to use their grant that they got from this committee when it looked like it was going to be limited capacity for their games, because they didn't feel comfortable, marketing something, and then some people are going to show up and not be able to get into the games. But the good news is, with the reopening, they're now in full force. So they are kind of adjusting on the fly a bit, because their timelines got crunched because they weren't expecting to do what they were expecting to do. So they're kind of shifting what exactly they first intended to use the funds for, but it's all gonna, it's all gonna be included on what their original budget called out for. So for instance, they might use their funds for a sand sculpture, but they did call out on their budget they were going to spend $2,800 partnering with the chamber on marketing efforts. So you guys did approve that technically as a expenditure, but I just wanted to let you know there's probably going to be some small adjustments to their kind of what they use their grant for.
Great.
And other than that, Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything else.
Great. Hey, Kyle, just a quick question. Can we bring it up as a discussion? I know you and I spoke of it real quick. Or does it have to wait till the next meeting as an agenda item to talk about changing the date and time of this meeting?
Yeah, I mean, you should probably have it as an agenda item in case like someone from the public is affected by that discussion, I suppose.
Fair enough. Let me just put on record then that the next meeting, if we could have that as an agenda item.
Yep.
just to see if there's another day. The 4 o'clock works, and I'll just say it, the 4 o'clock works for me. Just the day of the week is troublesome, that's all. So if there's a different day of the week, I'll just throw that out there we can talk about it next meeting.
But if you wanted to set your next meeting to a non-Thursday, that's not a problem. I just think if you want to talk about something kind of going
Yeah, no.
the agenda item.
So we can have it on a Thursday next meeting, but
Okay.
I would like it on as an agenda item.
Yep.
If we could. And if it can't change, it can't change. But
That's good.
so all right.
Yep.
Anything else on the agenda?
Minutes.
Minutes.
There's 3 sets.
I'm sure everybody read them. Can I get a motion to accept them as printed in the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Stephen, Jack. I get a vote. Joanne.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
And Kenzie, yes. So Mary, I think you need to make the last motion.
Who did it when I wasn't here? That's what I'm curious.
I think we just said goodbye.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
There you go. I think we're all in favor of that one. Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Next meeting is scheduled for June 10th for your goal discussion to pick that back up. Just so
That's
everyone
great.
Hey,
Super.
Kyle, you'll set something up through you to Jeff? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll reach back out to you
Super.
and Joanne about that.
Hey, before we all head out, just real quick, Kyle, you had said that there's a couple potentials now that we're shy one person on this committee.
Yes.
You said there's a couple potentials. How do we go about inviting them to sit in with us, whatever it takes to, entice them to join the committee? So
Yeah, I'll make sure they're both included on the next agenda. I'll send them out the next agenda so they're aware of it, so they're invited to join the next meeting as a member of the public, maybe, if that works.
that'd be great. All right, super.
Good.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
See you guys. Have a good weekend. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.